Good morning. Here we are again, you and me, Kimberly, and you are at 6:33. Wake up? No, that doesn't necessarily mean 6:30 in the morning. That does mean that we wake up the believer on the inside of us to believe Matthew 6:33. That most of us know this scripture as seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. The Message Bible says, steep your life in God reality, God initiative, and God provision, and don't worry about the rest. And so, this is me sharing the life and the message of the good news, and most often the message Bible. Why? Because this is not a doctrinal dig-in, a theological Bible study. This is me sharing the life as a believer. There is a time and a place for Bible studies, and I'm telling you, you need to do some. You need to listen to some good teaching. You need to be encouraged by that stuff. But what has been the anchor of my faith personally is right from the day that I became born from above, almost 35 years ago, when I picked up this Bible, not this one in particular, but when I pick up the Bible, I say, Lord, help me. I need to know you. I need to know more of you. I need your help. I say something along that line, and I opened it randomly, and I read where something jumped out at me, something highlighted, and I have always read my Bible every day since the day after my born again experience, as if God is talking to me personally. And I read it and I say, Lord, what does that mean for me today? How do I implement that? What are you trying to tell me here? It's always God speaking to me. So this is what 6:33 Wake Up is about. This is what I do. This is me sharing the life and the message with you. This is how I've read my Bible, and this is how I'm sharing it with you. Sometimes I might randomly read it in another place. But generally what I've done is I've basically started in Matthew. I think I even started in Matthew chapter 6 so that we could get the feel of what I do, why I'm doing it. I don't know. Anyway, so this is where we are. We are today at Matthew chapter 11, and we are coming up to one of my favorite portions of the Message Bible, how it is worded. And I believe that this is a strategic verse for me this year, that God has highlighted this for me, that my life needs to do this specifically. So we're going to be talking about that today. But right now, you know what? I remembered to pray. God, help us to have eyes to see, ears to hear, and hearts to receive and react that for which you have us today. Because, Lord, that's all it's about, is that we need you. We need your revelation. We need wisdom from on high. And we need hearts to believe it and live it. So here I am. And we are going to start at Matthew chapter 11, verse 20. And my subtitle says, The Unforced Rhythms of Grace. That's my 2025 life that I aim for. Unforced rhythms of grace. Aren't those beautiful words? We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So, next, Jesus unleashed on the cities where he had worked the hardest, but whose people had responded the least, shrugging their shoulders and going their own way. Just right there, that verse breaks my heart, because people don't believe. So what's the difference between people who don't believe and people who do believe? People who hunger for more? People who their interest is piqued? People whose hearts receive? I think the only part that's different is that God opens their eyes and ears and hearts. Because, you can listen to the very, very best preacher, but if you have a hard heart, or if you've made up your mind that none of this is real and that you're not going to be fooled, then none of that works. You could study this and prove it scientifically. I've listened to many atheist testimonies who, they were atheists and they tried to prove something and that God wasn't real, and it completely backfires, and now they are born from again believers. How does that supernatural activation change? It has to be God, because certainly 100% that I am not smart enough to convince you to change your mind or change your heart. That's not possible. I'm just an average, normal housewife, mother of 4, grandmother of 9, whose mother lives with me like no other, and a wonderful husband. We live a normal life with chickens and 2 cats and, paycheck to paycheck. I am no one special, and certainly haven't even been to Bible college or anything else like that. I am just saying to you that the Spirit of the living God is inside of me beyond a shadow of a doubt, and can be on the inside of you. I pray that he is, because that's what changes life. And like there's trials and tribulations. He's not a fairy godfather. It's me who becomes the servant to the king. Yes, adopted as a daughter or a son, but we still come under the authority of him, just like the authority of our parents. Would do as you're told, right? You want to please your parents, hopefully not from fear, but of love and of respect and honor. And that's the way it is in the kingdom life as a believer. And so a little rabbit trail, maybe. So we're going to go back to the word. So, verse 20 says, he'd worked the hardest in these villages, but people just shrugged their shoulders and moved on. They wanted nothing to do with Jesus. In verse 21, Jesus says, "Doom to you, Chorazin." Who knows if I said that right? Doom, Bethsaida. If Tyre and Sidon had seen half of the powerful miracles that you've seen, they would have been on their knees in a minute. Now, I do believe other visions say this Sodom and Gomorrah. Why would it be changed? I don't know. I have another Bible here this morning because I wanted to compare it. So it says here, no, it says Chorazin and Bethsaida. Okay, sorry, just checking. At Judgment Day, they'll get off easy compared to you. And Capernaum, with all your peacock strutting, you're going to end up in the abyss. If the people of Sodom had been given your chances, the city would still be around. At Judgment Day, they'll get off easy compared to you. Now, there's a story in the Old Testament, and if you don't know where to find it, Google, because God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. True story. He only saved a few people. Lot and his wife and their daughters and maybe husbands brought them out of Sodom and Gomorrah, and then he rained down fire on those cities because of the sin in those cities was so bad. And Abraham had intervened and interceded for Lot if there was just any righteous. And they were told to go from the city and not look back. And Sarah, Lot's wife, looked back and became a pillar of salt. just outside the city. Puts fear of God in you. But you can go and read that story. So here's Jesus saying that, at the time when Jesus was here and in these cities, he says, if you had been given half the chances, or Sodom and Gomorrah had given half the chances, they would still be here today. So just something to think about. Verses 25. Abruptly, Jesus broke into prayer. Thank you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth. You've concealed your ways from sophisticates and know-it-alls, but spelled them out clearly to ordinary people. Yes, Father, that's the way you like to work. Confirms what I'm saying, right? It's like God is the one who hides the truth or reveals the truth, who supernaturally activates our eyes and ears and our hearts to receive, or conceals the matter. Verse 27. Jesus resumed talking to the people, but now tenderly. He says, the Father has given me all these things to do and say. This is a unique Father-Son operation, coming out of the Father and Son intimacies and knowledge. No one knows the Son the way the Father does, nor the Father the way the Son does. But I'm not keeping it to myself. I'm ready to go over it, line by line, with anyone willing to listen. Okay? Jesus is willing to go over it line by line with anyone willing to listen. That's my prayer for me and for you, that we take the time to go over it. And now this, verse 28. Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Jesus says, come to me, get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. Unforced rhythms of grace. Now, for those of you who are familiar with other versions of the Bible, Matthew chapter 11 in my new King James Version Simplified. It is not a new translation. They clearly state that it's an updated version. So it's you can go check that out if you're interested. King James Version Simplified. So this verse is, King James Version says, verse 28, come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Verse 29, take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am weak and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Why does it get heavy sometimes? Why is life so difficult sometimes? What just came up in my memory is a vision that I had in a number of years ago when I was in a heavy time. And it was regarding this yoke. It says, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. And I had this vision that it was me and Jesus, right? And we were like the two pack animals, horses, oxen. I don't remember. I'm guessing it was oxen in the vision. But that there was this yoke around our necks. And that Jesus was and I was. And we were yoked together. But in my vision, when I didn't want to go the way that Jesus was going, my yoke pulled. My yoke felt heavy because it was out of balance. and I'm holding it back, and he's moving forward, and there's this stress and this strain on my neck and shoulders. And then in another part of the vision, I wanted to go faster. I wanted to go faster than Jesus did. And again, it was like so hard to pull because I had the weight of being out of balance again. And that, Jesus was walking his pace of the kingdom, and I was trying to run forward, and my yoke became heavy and painful on my shoulders. And then another part of the vision was Jesus was going this way, and I wanted to veer off and go a different direction. And again, the yoke became heavy and painful on my neck and shoulders because I was out of balance with Jesus. So, what he says in this version, where he says, "For my yoke is easy and my burden is light," is when we walk in balance with Jesus. His yoke is easy, his burden is light, because he helps us carry it. It's when we are off on our own without him completely, or that we're trying to do our own thing or at our own pace, that the burden becomes heavy. And so, pulling it back into the Message Bible and these unforced rhythms of grace, that is my personal prayer for 2025, is that I behold him in all things, in all situations, in all decisions, and that I learn to walk with him in a deeper way, in a unforced rhythm of grace, that I hear and I see what he wants me to do, when he wants me to do it, and which direction I'm doing it, so that I am not stressing, I am not hurried, I am not fearful, I am not heavy or worried, but I am living from this place of rest, recovering my real life. It says, are you tired and worn out, burned out on religion? I don't want to do that checklist that I've prayed this morning, I've read my Bible this morning, I fasted yesterday, I paid my tithe on Sunday. All those religious check marks is how I see them, that make me think I'm okay. But when what I really need is to know him intimately, that he is carrying that yoke with me, that I can live from this relationship with him, this walking together with him, and I can recover my life. That he'll show me how to take a real rest, that he'll walk with me, work with me, and I can learn how he does it. That is living unforced rhythms of grace. And that's what I pray for you today. That's our wake up, that there's a different way to live, that you and I will learn to live from unforced rhythms of grace, that will walk with him and work with him. So today I say, God bless you, and may you know that you are blessed, and that you will go out in your sphere of influence, your home, your community, your country, your church, whatever, your social media, that you will be a blessing. See you next time.